On the surface, high school students seem to be living normal lives, going through school, conversing and laughing with their friends seeming worry-free. However, dig a little deeper, and this is the sight you'd be seeing every night following the life of a teenager. A night of endless homework, pressing stress because of the pressure to do well on a test, and feelings of being overwhelmed by the pressure of school. Students being bogged down by the burden school puts on their shoulders has emerged as a serious issue, especially in our modern generation, as suicide rates among teenagers has increased the most dramatically compared with every other age group in the past 10 years. According to a study by Vanderbilt University, with the exorbitant expectations parents and schools are imposing on their children, many students get overwhelmed, causing enormous amounts of chronic stress. While short-term stress can have a positive impact on students by acting as a motivating factor, this chronic stress caused by the pressure of getting good grades in order to be successful can have severe detrimental impacts on students, ranging from their physical health to their mental health to their ethics, which is why schools should be more focused on a learning-based environment rather than a grade-based environment. Countless studies outline the detrimental effects of high levels of stress, including but not limited to lack of sleep, mental health deterioration, and greatly increased chance of unethical acts of cheating on tests and the like. All of these factors collectively compound into a severe issue that can only worsen if great measures are not taken to avoid them. Students and teachers alike point out these effects as they see them in the classroom or experience them personally. Although it can exist at any time during one's education or life, stress most often has the most significant effect on high schoolers. This period of vulnerability in adolescents' lives is caused by stress over the future, such as potential colleges or employers, and exaggerated by the current stress during high school they have to endure to reach the next stage in their lives. In reality, there's no real reason anyone should have to go through that experience. Many believe that students sleeping in class are just lazy and would rather sleep than learn. This somewhat uneducated belief, however, can often intensify the issue and lead to even graver consequences. Beneath the surface, these seemingly slacking kids are sometimes the most devoted to their grades. So devoted, in fact, that they lose a significant amount of sleep over trying to stay caught up, what with non-school related activities on top of their homework.
The modern workload for a common high school student has led to more students than ever getting less sleep than the 8 to 10 optimal hours per night. In fact, according to the National Sleep Foundation, a staggering 87% of high school students get less sleep than the recommended amount of sleep, and Nancy Yoon, the director of Stanford Sleep Center, calls it a public health epidemic.
On an average day, I usually get around 5.5 hours of sleep.
I feel that on weekdays, I usually get around 6 hours of sleep per night, but on the weekends, I'm closer to 8 to 10. I feel only a little bit, but sometimes I have more trouble during the week falling asleep. Like it's restless and wake up early in the night, or in the middle of the night and stuff like that.
I just have to stay up late doing my homework. Usually, because of my homework, I am restless at night. I don't fall asleep pretty easy. I usually take NyQuil just to help me fall asleep. In the mornings, I'm super tired just because I have 0 hour, and at night I have to stay up super late, so I'm really not able to function very well.
I try my best, but sometimes it's kind of tough because I'm on the soccer team and I also participate in the track team. So right now, every morning I come in around 8 o'clock and I go to soccer practice as my first period, and then I go through all my classes, and then after 7th period at 4:15 I go to track practice until about 6 p.m. So I'm usually not home until like 6:30. So it's tough for me to balance everything, whether it be homework or like enjoying my life, like having fun, stuff like that. And I feel like it's really tough for me to do that. And on top of that, to get a good night's sleep, I think is asking too much of myself.
Balancing my extracurriculars is hard during the school year, mostly because I play baseball, so Every day I have practice till 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I have to go home and do homework. And on top of that, I'm in philanthropy groups like NHS and YMSL, so out of school I have to do service hours. It's good for me as a person, but it's stressful on my mentality because I have to go after school and do all these things and stay up late, and I really have no downtime for myself, so it's pretty much solely based around school. Throughout the day, I kind of have my highs and lows of tiredness. It usually happens around every other period. I get super tired. It makes it hard to focus, which makes homework hard at home because I don't know what went on in the classes.
These students explain how they find it difficult to balance the workload of school with their extracurricular activities, causing lack of sleep. This lack of sleep has many other detrimental impacts, such as decreasing patient levels, an inability to focus, and anxiety. The inability to get the necessary amounts of sleep decreases a student's ability to perform to their true potential at school, leading to worse grades. This leads to a constant loop of losing sleep because students feel the need to study more and more as their performance in school drops because of the pressure of needing a good grade. And if the students perform inadequate on a previous test, this forces them to also have to catch up on the previous content independently in order to build the foundation to do well on the next test, which also causes decrease in sleep.
Another significant side effect of stress of school is the effects it has on students' mental health. As a study from the University of South Florida states, students in AP classes tend to have an increased amount of mental health issues with reduced levels of happiness, as well as anxiety, depression, and disengagement from school. This effect on mental health is in large part caused by the increasingly toxic amounts of competition centered on ranks and GPA at many schools.
I think now school is so focused on getting good grades, and there's just so much pressure. We, as students, take all these hard AP classes, pre-AP classes, that we're stuck in the routine of trying to get good grades and not learning for the benefit of yourself. Also, this affects cheating. A lot of students cheat so they can get the good grades because now it's all about going into college, and you have to get the certain GPA to get into your certain rank. And if you don't get that rank, then you're not going to go to the college you want to get into, so the pressure is very high.
And how does the pressure from peers and family affect you?
Mostly from peers. It affects me because I want to be better than some of my friends. I'd like to get into better colleges than them and have better grades. My family mostly supports me, but they want me to get into a good college also, and that GPA grind is very heavy. I need to get a good grade, and it's just hard on my stressful life.
I feel like that is a true statement because if I wasn't so pressured like amongst my peers and my family, I feel like I would be much more happier doing things I would enjoy rather than having to stress so much about schoolwork, especially like in AP classes. Those are really tough for me to try and balance everything, and I feel that like it would just lead me to do more things that I would enjoy myself if I wasn't so focused on the stress of school all the time.
Many students feel anxious and get depressed when seeing many other people performing better in school than themselves and better on grades. This causes them to feel as if they are not good enough and or special. As students lose this self-confidence in themselves, they begin to become less motivated to perform well in school, causing increased disengagement from school.
Lastly, the pressure of trying to get the good grade has led to a decline in the ethics of high school students, as students are more prone to cheat. Studies from St. John Fisher College state that over 91% of high school students in their area have admitted to cheating on a test before, and another study from University of California, Berkeley claims that an enormous 95% of students in their area have admitted to cheating on a test. This inclination to cheat is caused by the pressure parents and schools put on a student to get the best grade possible to ensure their success. So instead of trying to learn the material school gives them, students just find easier and more reliable ways they can get the highest grade possible.
My name is Scott Shaw. I teach at Plano Senior High School, 11th and 12th grade. I teach on-level U.S. history, APUSH, and contemporary world issues. And I teach both juniors and seniors.
So as you know, there's an excessive amount of cheating at our school. Do you think the excessive cheating in our school can be partially blamed by the amount of stress the students deal with to get good grades?
No, I don't. I think the amount of cheating that's going on is because of lack of credibility and integrity. Too many kids in this school want to do things the easy way instead of doing things the right way. And it really looks at their ethics because they're very eager to cheat. And cheating's just easier in their minds.
All right. Do you think if school was more learning-based, students would be less stressed, which would lead to less cheating?
Well, I think school is learning place. That's why it's called school. However, I think that if we had more portfolio type assessments as opposed to formal assessments, it might help. But I still think the kids that want to cheat will cheat because it's who they are.
Substance abuse has also become a problem among students, as a study done by New York University, which interviewed students on how they cope with stress, says that 38% of high school students have gotten high off an illegal substance and 34% have gotten drunk. This is caused by the increasing pressure of school, as many students just crumble because of the pressure and try to find escape methods such as drugs and alcohol. Is this what parents want from their kids? Is this the price they are willing to pay so that their children get good grades?
The chronic stress students go through due to the pressure of performing well in school is an important issue that needs to be addressed, and it needs the help of everyone. This stress caused by school is mainly due to the fact that parents and teachers have always emphasized the colossal importance of grades. According to Stanford professor Denise Pope, students believe that their SAT scores and their grade decide the amount of success they will have in their life, even though that is not the case, and this leads to higher levels of stress. We believe that if teachers and parents emphasized a learning environment rather than a grade-centered environment, students would be less stressed, and this would lead to a better foundation built for students rather than cheating the system to get successful.
I feel to an extent it is because just like the culture of our school, almost it's surrounded on people getting good ranks, good test scores, stuff like that. And I feel like that kind of takes away from the learning aspect, if you will. Like, I feel like the students care more about getting a good grade than actually learning the material. So like, for example, like in tests, like students could use other people or cheat instead of trying to develop their brains and learn the material. With parents stressing us, I feel that if I don't get a good grade, my parents will be disappointed, or I can't get into the right college, stuff along those lines.
The cutthroat nature of the present grade system leads to toxic levels of competition and overwhelming stress to perform nearly perfect, which should not be an expectation for most students. However, if a more lenient grading system was put into place, where it would allow students to make mistakes, students would not be so stressed out from trying to be as perfect as possible. Students would no longer be afraid of failure, which would cause less anxiety in their lives from trying to not make any mistakes. This change in the grading system and change in the culture of school would significantly lift the burden off of students' shoulders, which leads to a happier and less stressed school environment. People might say that this could decrease a student's motivation to do well in school. However, this could not be further from the truth, as according to the University of Iowa, students in a more comfortable and lenient environment are more inclined to ask questions and do the right thing. Students will be able to build a strong foundation by actually learning the material they are taught at school. Together, we can change the notion that grades are the most important part of school and instill a more learning-based education to ensure a happier, stress-free environment for students.